For sure, every WWE fan knows about Jimmy Golden, that wild Southern wrestler who seemed to feud with just about everyone he came across. The guy was always stirring things up, always ready for a fight. But his feud with Dustin Rhodes, that one stood out from the rest. It was intense, violent, and had the whole WWE world watching. Easily one of the most talked about rivalries of that time. No doubt about it. Jimmy Golden's feud with Dustin Rhodes has to be one of the hottest topics in wrestling history. It's arguably his most prominent rivalry, especially during his time in WCW. This was no ordinary feud. It was a brutal, intense clash that had fans buzzing for all the right reasons. The matches were fierce, often spilling over into bloody, violent brawls that kept everyone on the edge of their seats. The Southern brawling style they used made every fight feel raw and real, adding that extra layer of grit to everything that went down. One of the key figures in this feud was Colonel Robert Parker, who managed Bunkhouse Buck. This feud also brought in big names like Terry Funk, Arn Anderson, and even Dusty Rhodes. All these personalities brought their own fire to the story, making it one of the most talked about rivalries of the time. The sheer violence and emotion behind it gave fans some of the most unforgettable moments in wrestling history. What made Jimmy Golden so special in this feud, and in wrestling in general, was his style. He was a true representative of the Southern wrestling way of doing things. His hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach to matches made him stand out. Fans in the Southern regions loved him because he brought a kind of wrestling that resonated with them. Rough, tough, and unapologetic. His bunkhouse persona played a big part in this. He wasn't just a wrestler. He was a symbol of the working class, country toughness. It was a persona that felt authentic, and that made his brawls even more believable. His wrestling style combined with that persona made him the perfect fit for those wild, chaotic brawl-style matches. But don't let the rough exterior fool you. Golden also had a great run in tag team wrestling. He was a reliable tag team partner throughout his career, holding numerous tag team championships in different promotions. Whether he was teaming up with someone new or an old friend, Golden always brought his A-game. His tag team work proved he wasn't just about singles competition. He was a versatile, hard-hitting wrestler who could adapt to any situation. His versatility was clear from the very first moment he stepped into the wrestling world, and that's exactly what made fans go wild for him. Golden's journey in the wrestling world began way back in 1968 when he first laced up his boots in his father Billy Golden's wrestling territory in Alabama. It was in this environment that he started to learn the ropes of the business, setting the foundation for what would become a long and storied career. From the very start, it was clear that Golden was destined to make his mark in the wrestling world, and he didn't waste any time doing so. One of the earliest and most important partnerships of Golden's career was with his cousin, Robert Fuller. In the 1970s, the two teamed up to form a tag team that would become a key part of their success in the business. They were a natural fit, bringing a mix of chemistry and skill that made their matches exciting and compelling for fans. Golden's connection with Fuller would become one of the defining aspects of his career, and they would go on to form one of the most memorable tag teams in wrestling history. But Golden's wrestling career wasn't just limited to teaming with family. In the early 1970s, he also ventured beyond the United States and worked in Australia for Jim Barnett's promotion. This international experience helped expand Golden's wrestling skills as he learned to adapt to different crowds and styles of wrestling. It was clear that Jimmy Golden wasn't just a local wrestler. He was gaining the experience and knowledge that would help him become a well-rounded and versatile performer. Wrestling, the Stud Stable. Managed by Robert Fuller, the Stud Stable became a major force in Southeastern Championship Wrestling in the early 1980s. Jimmy Golden was a key member of the group, and it was here that he truly honed his persona as a tough, no-nonsense wrestler who wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. In the world of professional wrestling, being the bad guy is often just as important as being the good guy, and Golden played his role as a heel to perfection. Most of the time, he worked as the antagonist, drawing heat from the fans and making the good guys look like heroes in comparison. His work as the bad boy was crucial in the success of the Stud Stable, as the stable's matches were often filled with the kind of tension and drama that kept fans coming back for more. Meanwhile, his cousins, like Robert Fuller, occasionally played the role of the good boy, creating an interesting dynamic that kept things fresh in their storyline. Pensacola, Florida, and Mobile, Alabama, were two of Golden's primary stomping grounds during this time, and he became a familiar face in these areas. These cities were vital to his rise in the wrestling world, as they were key locations for the Southeastern Championship Wrestling territory. Golden's connection to these regions helped establish him as one of the top names in the area, and he developed a loyal fan base that followed his every move. His work in Pensacola and Mobile was integral to his development as a wrestler and helped solidify his place in the world of professional wrestling. As the 1980s progressed, Golden and the Stud Stable would expand their reach, taking their act to new territories, including Memphis, Tennessee. Between 1988 and 1989, they performed in the Continental Wrestling Association, a promotion that had a significant presence in the Memphis area. This was a period of growth and change for Golden and his stablemates, as they began to feud with some of the top names in wrestling. In addition to his time in Southeastern Championship Wrestling and the CWA, Golden also had stints with other promotions throughout the 1980s and 1990s. In 1982, he briefly worked for Joe Blanchard's Southwest Championship Wrestling, which gave him the opportunity to work in a new environment and further expand his wrestling skills. Between 1988 and 1990, Golden continued to stay active in the wrestling world, competing for promotions such as the American Wrestling Association, and one of his first big moments came in 1992 at the Volunteer Slam Tournament, which took place on May 22nd in Knoxville, Tennessee. It was a big deal because the event was for the company's heavyweight championship. Golden, with all his experience and fanfare, was expected to do well, but things didn't quite go his way. In the first round, he was eliminated by none other than Robert Gibson, which set the stage for some heated tension between the two. That elimination would spark a feud between Golden and Gibson, one that turned into something even bigger as time went on. The rivalry didn't stay just between them. It quickly evolved into a full-blown tag team war. This wasn't just about two wrestlers anymore. It was about the teams they represented. Golden's longtime partner, Robert Fuller, came over to SMW as well, reuniting with Golden. But the plot thickened when Ricky Morton, part of the legendary Rock and Roll Express, showed up to join forces with Robert Gibson. This brought the long-standing feud between the Stud Stable, which Golden was a part of, and the Rock and Roll Express right back into the spotlight. Fans were on the edge of their seats, remembering the brutal rivalries of the 1980s and wondering how this new chapter would unfold. Golden continued his run in Smoky Mountain Wrestling throughout 1993, keeping the fire of that feud burning and delivering great matches with his signature brawling style. But by 1994, Golden was ready for a change. He followed his longtime tag team partner Robert Fuller to World Championship Wrestling, where Fuller had transitioned into a manager role, now known as Cole. Rob Parker. Golden didn't just follow him for support, he also brought his wrestling skills to WCW, taking on the persona of Bunkhouse Buck. It was a perfect fit for him, as his rough, gritty style worked really well in WCW, and he was able to make an impact. When he got to WCW, one of his main rivalries was with Dustin Rhodes. This was another heated feud that brought out the best in both wrestlers. It was full of tension, big moments, and serious physicality, just the way fans loved it. But Golden didn't just stick to singles matches. He teamed up with another tough wrestler, Dick Slater. Together, the two made a formidable team, and they went on to capture the WCW World Tag Team titles. It was a highlight of Golden's career, showing that he wasn't just a solo act. He was still a force to be reckoned with as part of a tag team. Golden's time in WCW came to an end in 1997 when he left for the independent circuit once again. He wasn't done with wrestling by any means, but he was ready to test himself in new places and take on different challenges. He continued to perform on the indie scene, staying active in the wrestling world, where he remained a respected veteran. But Golden wasn't done making appearances in the big leagues either. Fast forward to 2010, and fans were shocked when Jimmy Golden made a return to WWE. On the July 16th episode of SmackDown, Golden appeared in a completely different role. He portrayed the father of Jack Swagger. This was a surprise cameo, and it wasn't just a small part. The storyline had Swagger abandoning his father during a segment, leaving him to get attacked by Kane. It was a memorable moment, especially for longtime fans who remembered Golden from his wrestling days. But that wasn't the end of Golden's WWE appearances. On the September 3rd episode of SmackDown, he came back once again to reprise his role as Jack Swagger's father. This time, Swagger left him to be attacked by Montel Vontavious Porter, adding another layer to the storyline. While Golden wasn't in the ring wrestling anymore, it was a fun and unexpected return to the WWE Universe, and fans loved seeing the old familiar face. Though his days in the ring were numbered, Golden wasn't quite done yet. In 2011, he earned another achievement when he became the Tennessee Mountain Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. This was a big deal, marking another milestone in his long career. It was a testament to his longevity and skill, showing that even after all these years, Golden could still claim a championship and prove that he was still a force in the wrestling world. Finally, after decades of making his mark in promotions all over the country, Jimmy Golden officially retired from wrestling in 2020. It was the end of an era, and fans who had followed his career from the very beginning knew that Golden had left behind an incredible legacy. From his early days in Alabama and Australia to his time in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, WCW, and beyond, Jimmy Golden had done it all. He had earned a reputation as one of the toughest, most versatile wrestlers in the business, and his influence on the world of professional wrestling would be felt for years to come. Golden's career wasn't just about titles and matches, it was about the impact he made on the wrestling world. His time in tag teams, his iconic feuds, and his ability to adapt to different styles and promotions made him a true legend in the business. His gritty, Southern brawler persona was one that fans loved. Whether he was feuding with the Rock and Roll Express, teaming with Robert Fuller, or taking on the role of Bunkhouse Buck in WCW, Jimmy Golden always brought his best. And even as he transitioned into different roles and promotions, his passion never wavered. That wraps up today's video. Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you soon.